Hello, everybody. It's Jason here. This episode you're about to listen to is a bonus episode. We originally recorded this before our podcast with Jeremy Reisman from Pride of Detroit. At the time, Jacob was going to be heading on vacation, so we had recorded ahead an episode or two just so that we could release every week. So this week, we're going to have two episodes. The next one will come out on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and we'll review our thoughts on minicamp. We'll probably crap on Aaron Rodgers, too, so you have that to look forward to. All right, enjoy the show.
Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Talking Grit is brought to you by the Monroe County Reporters, Monroe's top news source for police, fire, and community events. Follow them on Facebook, and for $2.99 a month, you can become a subscriber and get the news you crave even faster.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood, and with me is Jacob Litton. Today, we're going to talk about the draft. We just started this podcast not too long ago, so we're just going to talk about our views on the draft. We might even touch on a little bit about our experience in Detroit when we went and go from there. So, Jacob, I'm going to let you start this off. I think we're going to start with the last pick in the draft and kind of work our way forward. Is that the way we want to do this?
Yeah, I'm going to work from the back. We're going to move all the way up to our first round pick. Just kind of go from there, talk briefly about each one, where they fit in. All right, round 6, pick 210, Christian Mahogany, guard out of Boston College. Actually, one of the picks that was better for us based on where his total ranking was. He was projected third or fourth rounder, 141 overall prospect, and we got him at 210. Don't know a whole lot about him. I know he graded positive for Pro Football Focus and that he works better in the running game. With that being said, he didn't allow a sack last year. There's no pressure on him to come in and play right away, being a late draft pick. I think it's a pick with high upside. Even if he's just a backup role player for the next few years, he's behind Zeitler, Graham Glasgow, two guys definitely want to learn from. There's no pressure there. I think it was a good pick. How did you feel about this one?
Yeah, that's actually one of the ones I was pretty excited about. I think he actually has a chance to hit the field this year if injury actually happens. I think he's going to be, for some reason, I just get the feeling that he's going to be able to step in. He does an awesome keg stand celebration, so we got to get him in the end zone, right?
Oh, okay. I have not seen that.
Seen the keg stand celebration? Yeah.
I didn't see his keg stand, no.
Yeah. See, that's the type of research that I do. You know all these numbers and everything, and I'm looking at end zone celebrations. That's just why we work well together.
Yeah, what's really important.
Exactly. I'm all about it. Seriously, though, I was really happy with this pick. I'm sure he slipped due to some injury concerns you got to think about there, but Brad Holmes is not afraid to go after people with injury concerns. He's shown that time and time again, either through the free agents he signs or the players he picks. What did you think about it?
I liked it. I mean, I didn't know too much about him. Had to look into it a little bit. I did see where they said that it was basically a good pick based on where his projection was. But it's hard to tell. Some of these guys that they put third or fourth round projections on, they end up going undrafted. So take that with a grain of salt. But everything that I've seen about him looks really positive. Seen some highlights of him being able to pull and what he can do in the running game, and it makes him look, really solid. If he can stay healthy and learn behind who we have right now, I think is a positive pickup.
Yeah, I think Brad Holmes referred to him as a dirtbag. He changed his Twitter handle to have that in there. So that just tells you what type of offensive lineman he is.
Right. Lead me into the next pick, also round 6, pick 189, and another one where, this guy was projected third or fourth round, Mekhi Wingo, defensive tackle out of LSU. He was actually ranked 88 overall, and we got him at 189. He had a really good Pro Football Focus grade. A lot of positive things to be said about him. He was a captain for LS. Surprising to see him fall as far as he did. Do you have any insight on that one? Did you hear about him before?
Yeah, I didn't really hear about him too much. I'm not following SEC football as close as I am the Big Ten. So no, he's kind of was under the radar for me, undersized defensive tackle. Let's all compare him to someone else that Brad Holmes helped draft, Aaron Donald. No, it's not fair to anybody. No one's ever going to be like that. It's not fair to categorize him in there, but went with defensive tackle, and hopefully he can help us. Hopefully he can help us get some rush.
Yeah, and that's another late round pick. There's no pressure on him to perform right away. Defensive tackle is definitely a position of need for us. He can come in there. We see what he's got. Maybe he's used as a rotational piece. Take some of the pressure off of DJ Reader. Get some fresh legs in there. I'm okay with that pick. I mean, even if he doesn't see the field a whole lot, seems to be a positive player, a team player, and those are the kind of guys we want in the locker room.
Well, we draft captains for a reason. Those are the guys that the team respects, right? So that carries some weight for sure. Brad Holmes has drafted a lot of captains, and I think that that's on purpose. Going to be a guy that's probably not going to come in on first down or whatever, or second down, depending on distance. He's going to be someone there that's going to be on a primarily passing downs. We'll see how it goes. 6th-round pick. We're getting to the point where our roster is pretty deep, where a 6th-round, our draft picks aren't guaranteed to make the roster anymore.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Who's next, Jacob?
So the last 2 picks that we had were really good picks in terms of what their rankings were overall, what the projections were overall. These next 2, both of our 4th rounders, it's kind of the opposite. So round 4, pick 132, it's Sione Vaki. So he's the running back / safety out of Utah. He actually, based on prospect rankings, was ranked 247 overall, and we picked him at 132. When you see this on the surface, sometimes you're like, man, what are they thinking? What are we doing? What's going on? Not really with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. We think that they have a specific plan in place for this guy. He doesn't really stand out anywhere. I don't think they drafted him in here to be a running back. I don't know that they necessarily drafted him to come out here and just play safety. I think that they drafted him to be kind of a gadget player for special teams. At the combine, it looked like he tested mostly the running backs. He doesn't really have a true position. You see round 4, you think that's kind of early to draft somebody that's just going to be playing special teams. But, we talk about grit, everything. This guy shows it. He's not the most athletic person out there, but he is tough. And they must see something in him that they really wanted him to go get him at pick 132. How did you feel about that one?
Yeah, didn't know about him before the draft, but I like what I've seen, and I can see where they're going with this. I think he's going to, he's special teams written all over him, at least for this first year. And with the new kickoff rules, I think he might excel in that situation. You might see him as our kickoff returner. You want someone with running back skills. He hasn't shown extensive running back skills. I mean, it's very limited opportunities, but he had very good numbers making people miss. So I'm ecstatic from that standpoint of where we could see him play. You have to have 1 or 2 designated returners. He could definitely be one of them back there with the new rules. And then it's kind of interesting, he's a safety, but we draft him as a running back. It sounds like you talked to Ben Johnson primarily. So it looks like, they're going to just view him as a running back on the offense. And, I'm intrigued that we have, a running back that can also play safety. But I have a feeling they're not going to put too much on his plate this first year. Even with Brian Branch, they started to give him too much and they backed him off and just put him at the nickel just because they didn't want to overload him. I think the same thing with Vaki. They're going to give him one thing to focus on. Probably mostly special teams. Maybe they use him as 4th running back, maybe behind Craig Reynolds. We'll see how that all goes. It's one of those picks that you're just like, I trust Brad Holmes and, we'll see how he does. Didn't know anything when he was drafted, but I like what I see. He showed out really well at the rookie minicamp too. He was one of the standouts there. So that's a positive going for him.
Absolutely. And what does that say about Brad Holmes and our team that in round 4 we're picking special teamers? We're picking guys that just fit the team, and that's what they're going to be doing is special teams. Most of the time, the guys that play special teams are the linebackers, the running backs, the safeties, the guys that just aren't quite good enough to play that position every day, but they're good enough to be on the team, and they want to use them on special teams. And it sounds like this guy, we're putting him in strictly for special teams to make that even better.
The Lions have a pretty deep roster right now. They have a vision for where a guy's going to fit. And so I don't think they're saying, hey, we need to draft a special teams guy, or we need to draft a safety, or we need to draft this. They just draft a football player and they'll make it fit. People that love football, they're going to play anywhere that the team needs him. This guy's extremely versatile, which is what this team craves.
And being ranked so low and being picked so high, they feel like they're onto something, might have a diamond in the rough, which kind of goes with the next guy that we have as well. Round 4, pick 126. This is the big offensive tackle, Giovanni Manu from British Columbia. So he was actually ranked 282 overall. Most of these had him round 7 or undrafted, just because he's such a raw prospect. Didn't go up against the greatest of competition, but this dude's just massive. He's a huge project, but just the size and athleticism that he's already shown, you can see what they're going for here, because there's no pressure on him to perform either. He was drafted round 4. We know it's going to take some time to really see what you have out of him. But like I said before, what's that say about Brad Holmes and the team? That's like, you know what? We're going to take this guy right here, right now. That's who we want. That's what we want to work on. On paper, it looks crazy. If we were playing Madden and we drafted the 282nd overall, Madden's going to give you a thumbs down and tell you that you're stupid.
There is a pattern here between a connection I'm seeing between, last year's draft and this year's draft. So with Manu, I think he's definitely a project. He reminds me of like Broderick Martin last year, where we traded up and drafted him, right? And he just had some amazing physical attributes. We're talking about Broderick Martin, whereas Manu shows the same thing. My expectation is he's gonna start out inactive. They're gonna give him time to grow. But I just see the pattern of how feels like in that round, like 3 through 5, Brad Holmes is just picking players that he wants, that he's identified as, these are Lions. I don't care that this guy's rated 180 or whatever he's rated. He's my guy. I see something in him, and we're going to invest in him. Not to go outside draft talk, but Broderick Martin from last year, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but he's transformed his body this year. He took the Aleem McNeil approach, and you love to see it. That's like why the Lions draft these football players. They get in this position, and they just want to get better. They want to make themselves better to help the team, and they're going to do what they need to do to get on the field. And when you have competition all over the place, you do those things. You're like, hey, I need to step up my game. I need to eat better. I need to train harder. And Broderick Martin looked impressive in the pictures that I saw. So whether that translates on the field, I'm not sure. But what's crazy about Manu is that he's already a freak physically. And so imagine if he's, bigger and stronger next year when he comes back. I mean, it's insane to think about.
Right. Yeah, he's got the size. He needs the technique.
Yep. Yeah.
He's only going to get better. Hopefully, we hope it's good enough that he actually makes the field and makes an impact.
Yeah. But you got Penei Sewell number 58, Manu pick number 59, and says because he's the next in line to be a great Polynesian football player. Not going to compare anyone to Penei Sewell because that's just unfair, but I love the mindset.
For sure.
All right, man. Who's next?
All right. Now we get to the big ones. The next one up, round 2, pick 61, and this one is Ennis Rakestraw, cornerback out of Missouri. This is another one kind of surprising that he dropped down to us. A lot of mocks had him going towards the end of round 1 or real early on in round 2. He was ranked 36 overall prospect, 80 grade from Pro Football Focus. On paper, everything looks really good. He looked like he was going to be towards the end of the first round, early second, and then he falls to us towards the end of the second. Kind of, I guess I would say it's a little surprising based on our first round pick. I did not expect to go back-to-back cornerback, but I'm okay with it. He's a physical outside cornerback. He definitely is not afraid to tackle. He's physical. Just an improvement on a position of need. How did you feel about that when you saw that second round pick being a corner?
Yeah, I am really happy about this pick. That might be my favorite pick of the draft, to be honest with you. I don't know. That and Terrion's hard to pick, but just the fact that he fell that far, it was great. And I'm not afraid of them doubling up at all. They needed help at that position, and they didn't have players necessarily signed much later the next year, and so Amik might be the only one that's signed later. I can't think of any other ones. It's good to have young people at that position. I like that he is hard-nosed and will go there and tackle the running game. I don't think the Lions are going to draft a corner that doesn't have that attribute. And shame on the rest of the NFL for letting that guy fall all the way to the Lions at pick 61, because the Lions are going to reap the benefits from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like the pick as well.
Anything else you want to add?
We'll move right into the next one. I don't have anything else to add on that one just yet. Right. But then you move into the next one. So this is the big one, the round 1, pick 24, Terrion Arnold, cornerback, Alabama. I know you don't really do it as much, but I mock draft every year. I try to come up with my own. I got a competition with one of my friends. We go back and forth. We mock draft every year. I did not think there was any chance that Terrion was going to fall down to us, or just this late in general. He's ranked 11 overall. Pro Football Focus grade was almost 90. Passer rating against him was only 50. Attitude-wise, everything about him was perfect. And that was my home run pick for the Lions. So the fact that it actually happened, I was ecstatic for. As the picks go by, you're seeing the trades, you're seeing everything happen, you're like, please let him fall. Let him fall, move up and get him here, move up and get him here. And I'm just hoping the whole time. What's different than in the past, because in the past, I've always felt, the Lions are going to screw it up. We're going to draft Eric Ebron. Just, ever since Brad Holmes has came along, you just have to trust the process. So no matter who they took, I had to be okay with it, and I knew there was going to be a reason, but this was the guy that I wanted. So the fact that it happened was huge. I loved that he was there at the draft. He came out and seen the fans and everything. The fans loved him right away. It seemed like he loved Detroit right away. It was just perfect. How did you feel about that one? I know you were looking at Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I was, but that was mostly because I thought we were going to be picking at 29, and I, in my wildest dreams, did not think that Terrion Arnold was going to fall to 24. I really didn't read too much up on him because I just didn't think there was any chance he was going to fall out of. I thought the teens at the latest, and didn't think that Brad Holmes would trade up that far. I mean, it's definitely not out of the realm possibility, but I just didn't think he was going to do it. I didn't think there was any chance, but everyone's drafting quarterbacks and offensive players, and the Lions are one of the teams that just took advantage of that and lucked out.
Right. It's just the way the cards fell. It was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable. And just for Terrion Arnold, how awesome is it? You're in Detroit and you get drafted, and his personality is amazing. I think it's perfect for that position, and he is going to be a city favorite. I can already feel it.
For sure.
His whole quote with his mom.
Yeah,
he's just going to fit in really good with this city. I think when we lost CJGJ, we lost some swag or something, whatever you want to say. I think Terrion Arnold will pick that up, and
Jason's using the word swagger.
Oh, I know. Did I use it correctly?
Kind of. I know what you mean. Yeah, you use it right.
Sorry.
By accident, I think, but you got it.
I feel so good about myself when these youngins say I use the words correctly. It's great. After I get over this elation of using the word swag correctly. Terrion Arnold, he's CJGJ without the condescending comments to me. He just is could talk, but it seems so positive the way he talks. And, he wants to be the best, but he doesn't have to put down other people to do that. And I love that about him.
Yeah, he's got a really good personality for sure.
Yeah.
He's somebody else that's very active on TikTok, social media.
Okay.
I know you don't have that. You should check it out sometime. He's really good on there. I know.
Well, if you start posting some good stuff on our, maybe on Twitter or whatever, it'll force me to make an account,
Okay.
Maybe I'll do that. But I'm trying to avoid you in other spaces other than this podcast and work. It's just hard, man. Texting me at all times of the day, and it's just rough. It's rough.
Nobody believes that.
I know. Okay. I know. I'm trying to make it true, though.
You're too busy with your water aerobics classes.
Hey, man. The women in there treat me very nice, okay? It's okay. It's
because you're young to them, right?
I am.
Anyway, let's get back on topic here. That must have been really cool for Terrion too, because you think about all the pressure and everything. You don't know where you're gonna go. You're sitting there at the draft. You're waiting for the phone to ring. The phone rings, and it's the freaking Detroit Lions. You're in Detroit.
The 313.
Most people at the draft ever. You're sitting in there. You know that you're gonna come out there. The fans go crazy when they hear your name. That had to just be the best moment for him. instantly be accepted. Everybody just, the whole place is fired up for him.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've never been at a place where 250,000 people cheered for me at one time. Has that happened to you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, at work, I got people cheering for me all the time, but at most that's 10 to 12. So, yeah, I don't know how it feels when there's 250,000 people cheering for you. It's got to be amazing.
10 to 12 is pushing it.
Yeah, it is.
That's one old lady at a time, if that.
Hey, man, it's all good. It's all good. So many people that get us confused because of the Jacob and the Jason. So I love it.
I've set really high standards, so when they think that you're me, you better step up your game.
You're tough to live up to expectations-wise, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Speaking facts now.
All right, is there anything else you want to add on Terrion before we get into some topics here?
No.
Besides Terrion, who's the player that sees the field first out of the rest of the draft picks that we got here?
A lot of these guys are raw prospects that you don't really necessarily expect to see the field right away. I think you have to go Rakestraw. I mean, with the position the way that it's at, everything's up for grabs. If he shows out in training camp, I definitely think snaps are there for him to take. Sione also, with the value that he's putting in for special teams and everything, I mean, he's somebody that's probably out there week one if he can hang.
Yeah, I think, if you're including special teams and who sees the field, which special teams is included, I would say Vaki's probably number one. He might be the first one to touch the ball for the Lions this year if he's the kickoff returner, when we get the ball first. So he might be the first one to touch the ball for the Lions this season. It could go that way. I think Ennis Rakestraw definitely has a chance to see the field, although that position is suddenly deeper than it has been in a long time. Outside of an injury, I think Ennis probably doesn't see the field right away, but who knows? There's sometimes you got to be in dime, and he might be out there depending on how he's playing and how he develops.
For sure.
We talked about Broderick Martin last year. He basically was inactive for all but one game, the Raiders game. Same situation I see for Manu. So do you think the over-under on active games this year, I set it at 1.5 games. Do you think it's over or under that he's active?
I would say under. I don't think that he's really going to play that much. I don't think he's ready to play that much. Hopefully, knock on wood, there's no injury or anything that's kind of thrusting him into a position where he has to play either. I don't think he's going to play very much this year. I don't think even when they drafted him, they intended on him playing a whole lot this year.
I just see the Broderick Martin thing happen here outside of him just like showing out somehow in training camp. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him very much during the season. But he'll probably get some opportunity, in preseason. I'm sure we'll see him out there. I doubt we're going to see him that much this season. But, he could learn a lot this year. So that it's just a long-term draft pick.
Hey, and I hope I'm wrong. He comes out here and just blows it up with his size and everything. If he shows that he's ready right away, get him some playing time right away.
Yeah, especially if he can show that. I mean, he could come out like in those goal line big packages and you put him on the other side of Panay.
Man. Can you imagine lining up opposite that?
Yeah, I know. Dab Panay and Manu, it's a Polynesian duo over there. What's the pick that surprised you the most?
I was surprised by the Rakestraw pick just because I didn't see us going corner again. But I guess, the real surprising one for me was probably going to be Sione, just because it was like I had never heard of him. You see it flash on the screen, running back / safety. Like, man, I have no idea who this guy is. I don't know what he's about. I had to instantly look it up. I think that one is the most surprising one to me. What about for you?
Yeah, Manu was surprising just because that was the first one he traded up for, and I was like, oh, here, Brad Holmes is doing it again. And then he followed it up with Vaki, and I was like, and I was so confused because they announced him as running back, right? But then he's listed as safety. So I was like, did they just screw up, or it was just he wasn't on my radar. But
right.
Yeah, that was shocking for that. Even the first round pick, Terrion Arnold, I was shocked that he fell that far. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked that the Lions picked him, but I was just shocked that he fell to where he did.
Right. That actually fell into place.
Yeah, and we jumped in front of the Packers to get him, which is
so good.
It's so sweet. Ah, God. Love screwing over the Packers. It is so awesome. The Lions had 5 players on the top 25 under 25 next year. Anyone that's 25 years or younger, 20% of this list is Lions. Will any of these players that the Lions drafted this year make that list, do you think, next year?
That's a hard list to make. So the fact that we have 5 Lions on there right now just speaks volumes for the drafting ability of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Unbelievable. 5 of the 25 are Lions. Looking at the list, obviously you hope that Terrion, you hope that Rakestraw, either of them, both of them, you hope they play well enough that they're on that list. It's too soon to tell right now. I guess I would say, obviously the best chance of showing up is going to be Terrion. He's going to have plenty of opportunities, right away.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a division with Justin Jefferson and, somehow they get matched up and he shows out well, that'd be a quick way to get noticed, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's a tough test a couple times a year.
Yeah, so just to quickly go over, I think it'd be good information for everybody. If you haven't seen that list, I'll just quickly go through the Lions. Sewell was number 1 on the list. Hutch was number 6. Amon-Ra was number 11. Laporta was 19, and Gibbs was 21. So that's the 5 players. Jacob, how many other players from the NFC North made that list?
I don't have that in front of me. Why don't you let me know?
That would be a big fat 0. So the Lions have 5 of them. The rest of the division don't have any. This good young Packers team that everybody's talking about, they don't have any of the players, under 25 that made this list. So think I like the Lions' chances moving forward just with that information alone.
For sure.
Yeah. This list is obviously not definitive. Even I think Gibbs is rated too low. They got Bijan rated ahead of him. Obviously, I'm biased, but kind of like what Gibbs gives us. Each team can use a different type of running back. Gibbs is just going to be that. He's just a weapon. I think he's going to have an amazing season this year.
Yeah, right. Just got a small glimpse of it last year. He's going to go off this year.
Because we're on the topic of the draft, Jacob and I both went up to the draft this year. We didn't go together. We just took our families up separately. Both had different experiences.
Jason asked, and I told him I didn't want to go with him.
He said, I'm not going to go. And then all of a sudden on Facebook, I see pictures, posted of him up there. And I was, so mad. That was before we started the podcast, but I've forgiven him. And now, we're doing this together. So maybe next year we'll go to Green Bay and go to the draft together. What do you think about that?
I think I'm busy that week.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, got to wash your car or something. Do you want to talk about what you did with your family up there just a little bit? We don't have to be extensive.
If you didn't get a chance to go to the draft, you really missed out. They had everything set up perfectly. It was great for Detroit. Everybody saw how many people showed up. Even with the numbers, when you knew how many people were there, everything was spread out. I mean, obviously you had a lot of lines to wait in. There was a lot of stuff to do. A lot of it was family oriented. It definitely exceeded my expectations. It was great. Even to the point where now my kids are wanting to go to Green Bay next year. It's like, I don't want to show up in Green Bay.
You got to show up in your Honolulu blue.
No. I mean, I don't want to show up in Green Bay because I don't want them to get anything close to our record.
I know you have a lot of kids, but, I don't think it's going to push it too far towards that.
I just don't see how it could get any better than what we did in Detroit. Everything about it was just really, really cool. What was your experience like?
It was awesome. I mean, it just feels like it hit at the right time for Detroit, too. We had just, had those 2 playoff wins a couple months before that. And so the energy was really positive towards the Lions. I think it helped us break the record because there was just a lot of Lions fans that are ready to go and just kind of feed into football fandom. And you're right. Everything was just spread out. There was a lot of people up there, but I felt totally safe the whole time I was up there. There was just so much to do. I only went up for one of the days. There was no way you could get everything in. There were lines, but, you pick and choose what you wanted to see, and there was just plenty of things to do. The best thing that happened to me up there was meeting Amon-Ra. That was a thing that the boys really wanted to do. He was taking pictures on Saturday. We got in line real early, and they cut the line off, pretty quickly because it was, he only had so much time. He was only going to be up there for an hour. Amon-Ra was so gracious. He made us feel welcome. It was great. He introduced himself to the boys. They took a picture with him. Then we got to move in and take a picture. And then as we're walking away, he wished both my boys by name that they had a good day at the draft. So he remembered their names. It was unbelievable the professionalism that he exuded there. He had just signed that big contract. It didn't go to his head. He was introducing himself to everybody as Amon-Ra. Like, we all didn't know that it was Amon-Ra, but it was stand up, dude. I was super happy.
Right. Very cool.
Who did you run into?
So we got to meet Frank Ragnow. We were at the Little Caesars truck. So it was a contest. You got to throw footballs and, try to beat the high score. And we actually got to throw against Frank Ragnow. And same kind of experience, just a real awesome dude. Cool to actually get to talk to him for a couple minutes, get the picture taken with him. The kids both loved it. I feel like the game was rigged, and that's the only reason that he beat me at the football throwing contest, but I don't have any video evidence of that.
Jacob cannot just look at reality, man. He's always an excuse.
I didn't miss a target the whole time. I felt pretty good. So to see that he beat me by as much as he did, something was rigged. No, but it was expected too. We waited in line for the pizza throwing contest it was by mistake. We were waiting in line and here comes Frank out ready to throw footballs.
It's a pleasant surprise.
Right. No, it was perfect.
My wife really enjoyed it. I was kind of worried taking her up to the draft thing because I was wondering like how she was going to feel about it. But she really liked it. She did the throwing contest. She was like right in there and just loving it. So what did your wife think about it?
Oh, yeah. No, she loved it too. I mean, we love being downtown Detroit and just walking around anyway. So it was cool to see how they had changed things, how they had different things set up, getting to try all the food and the different thing down there. There was a lot still to do. So it really was a good family event. I feel like everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I was just taken back by the amount of organization. It was very well run, I thought. I was just super impressed with all that. Like, it's got to be impossible to organize, event where there's 700,000 people, over 700,000 people going down there. The city was without incident, which I'm really excited about. I think it's just going to lead into some bigger and better things for the city.
Absolutely. The city shows out, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I was all that surprised with how many people that were showing up there. I thought, you see those pictures of Nashville from the past, like how many people were packed in there. That's what I was envisioning happening in Detroit. Too, how many people are down there and how many people take it so seriously now that the team's been doing well, especially. And really, I mean, they were fans of every team that were down there. There were a lot of people that had traveled in. It was just, as far as the number of people, that's what I expected. But we weren't crowded on top of each other. There was still definitely space and everything.
Yep.
Back to what you had said before, it was just incredibly well run. Everything was planned out perfectly. It was just very, very cool. And I hope more things like that come as a result. It's a shame that we're not going to get the draft here again for quite some time if we ever do again.
I think our kids will be taking their kids the next time that it's here just because they're going to cycle through all these cities, which is fine. I hope every fan base gets to experience what we did. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
One thing that I thought was funny that when you and I got together and we're talking later about our experiences up there, that both of our kids came up with the same game. They wanted to find a jersey from every team while they were up there. And, both our kids just came up that independently and we were just talking about that. So I thought that was really funny when it speaks to how many fans were up there of all the teams.
Yeah, right.
All right. So anything else you want to add in on our draft talk?
No.
All right. We're going to get into the Honolulu Blitz.
It's time for the Honolulu Blitz.
All right, Jacob. I'm up first this time.
Yep. This time I have a couple more open-ended questions. Not all necessarily football related either. Just a couple things to throw at you just to see.
Yeah.
Just from my own personal knowledge. I want to know these things too.
Yeah. Are you going to ask me questions about myself? You're going to get to know me?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, good. This will make a first.
There's only one of those questions because I don't want to know you that well.
You got appearances, man. Appearances. We got to show like we're together.
Yeah.
This isn't a Rod and Mario situation, people. Yeah.
It might lead to that.
It could. It's good. It's a good thing we record this separately. I can't take your chair.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. There's a couple trivia things, a couple open-ended too. You ready?
Let's go, man.
All right, let's go. Who is your favorite NFL quarterback that's not on the Lions?
I'd say Justin Herbert. I like his hair.
That's such a Jason
It
answer.
is.
I swear. For those of you who don't know, Jason lacks hair.
Yep. That's right. That's why I like his hair, man. I'm jealous.
Who was the first draft pick for the Lions in the 2020 season?
2020 season. So that is during COVID. That was, no, it wasn't Jared Davis. No, who would it have been? Oh man, the first driver.
Oh, he froze.
Oh, was that Frank? No, this is way before that. Oh, I don't know. I'm stumped. Tell me.
2020 was Jeff Okuda.
Ah, God, that's why I wanted.
That's why you couldn't.
That's
think of him.
why I just permanently blocked that out of my head.
Right.
My God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We closed that one off.
Yeah. You had to bring up the drafting a cornerback in the first round, and right after we drafted one.
Well, we were talking about our corners we drafted this year. I just thought it was appropriate. Excuse me. Not my fault. You forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say is the best sporting event that you've ever been to?
Ooh, it's for me. It's the I had the Rams Lions game last year is probably the best one I've ever been to.
I thought that's what you were going to say. Okay. What's your favorite fast food restaurant?
Taco Bell.
Nice. When was the last time the Lions won an NFL championship?
57?
And who'd they beat?
That I don't know. Giant. No, I don't know.
It was the Browns.
The Browns, yes.
That was a bonus question, though. You still got that one right. Yep. 57. The Lions beat the Browns in the championship. And there were only 12 teams in the league at that point.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, right.
Celebration the Browns and the Lions were going to get in any sort of championship. We cut down like the league in a third of what it is right now.
I think I saw the Lions went like 8-4 in the regular season still.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Hey, not bad. You forgot Okuda, but I can't blame you for that.
Yeah, no, that's really bad on my part. I should have known that right out the gate, but I had blocked that. I mentioned Justin Herbert in that set of questions, and he was drafted right after Okuda.
Right.
Yeah, I was too busy thinking about his hair. All right, man. You ready for your questions?
I'm ready.
All right. Best division in the NFC right now.
The North.
All right. Who, in your opinion, who are the starting outside corners for the Lions in week 1?
I think you go Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold.
Okay. Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen?
Who's that?
You don't know who those guys are?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God. You freaked me out.
Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen has the Michigan connection, right?
All right. That's good, X.
Those are both really, really old guys, though, Jason. I mean,
they're great, though.
I've heard of both of them. I know who they are.
Yeah. Well, Dan Patrick is one of the best interviewers I've ever seen. He's amazing.
Does he still interview? Does he still have a show?
He has a show, and it's I think it's on Peacock or something. So maybe, spend $3 a month and get Peacock, and you'll figure it out. All right.
I have Peacock. I just don't watch Dan Patrick.
He's good, man. You're missing out.
I mean, I know he's a historical person, right?
Historical person. Have you ever heard of SportsCenter?
I used to watch SportsCenter when it was good.
All right. Well, Dan Patrick is what made SportsCenter. So
I know who Dan Patrick is.
All right, man. Favorite workout song?
Ooh, that's tough. I mostly listen to Fall Out Boy.
All right.
I can't say that I have a favorite actual workout song right now, though.
All right. Aaron Rodgers plays over or under 11 games?
I'm going to say under.
All right. Is that wishful thinking, or is that like what you actually think is going to happen?
I don't care either way. I mean, the football fan in me actually hopes that he gets to play a full season and that the Jets still don't do very well.
Yeah. Huh.
But, don't wish for an injury or anything like that, but he is older. He's coming off of an injury. You got all that stuff, where he's like, I could have played last year if I wanted to. And
yeah.
He's just not willing to admit that he's, getting older and getting more fragile.
Yeah, I agree with you. If I had to bet, I'd go under 11 games too. But who knows? I mean, I hope for the Jets' sake that he does play his games so that,
Well, you hope for the NFL's sake because of all the primetime games they gave him.
I was going to say for my sake too. I don't want to be stuck with, Jets backups, just having to keep people score under 14 points to have a chance to win the game. So, but
right.
I don't know. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers makes that much of a big a difference either. So, but I'm an Aaron Rodgers hater. He's super talented, but
it's hard to be a Lions fan and not have a little bit of a hate or resentment towards Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't like to give, when the Lions, beat him, because we can't let that team beat him. That was like, I didn't like him before that, but that was the kicker. When you call us that team, that team that had the phantom face mask call so you could throw that, Hail Mary pass.
That's where my hatred began, was the face mask thing. And then them beating us after that.
Just so many times, just beyond him being arrogant, in my opinion.
Right.
So, like, during that time, I'll term that the SOL Lions era or whatever. You just knew if they got Rodgers down on the third down, I knew a flag was coming out. I don't necessarily feel that way now when the Lions play. The Lions are getting respect, and I think it's going to be even more in their favor in the future, too. Just because, we showed that we're a good team. We don't need breaks. Hopefully, we don't have any Brad Allen situations this year.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I hope so. We still do not have a very good history with the refs. They don't do us any favors.
If I was a doomsdayer, I'd be thinking right now, all right, this hip drop tackle is going to happen with some stupid 4th and 20 play that they tackle him 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and they call that a good automatic first down, and then it screws over the Lions or something.
Well, you know it's going to happen to somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
it might even be week 1. Yeah. That rule is going to be put in the spotlight very quickly.
Yeah. In the preseason, sometimes they over flag things. And so just to get people to know, hey, we're for real. So I'm curious to see how it's, done in the preseason.
Right. But, yeah, because that could be a questionable call and no call as well.
Right. It's like one of those things that's going to be like the process of the catch or whatever. It's going to have all these steps. Did they do it? And it's like, man, I just want to play football. I just want. He's like, all right, did the guy, in a catch, did the guy have the ball 2 feet on the ground? That's a catch. Okay. We don't need to does he fall into the ground?
It shouldn't be so difficult.
It shouldn't. And instant replay, not really like instant replay as it's called in the games, but TV's instant replay and the showing down in the slow motion you can just get to so minute things that it just played right into that. And I feel like half the time these refs are afraid of calling something because, it's hard. I mean, they have an impossible job to be able to call, some of those plays bang, bang. Everything's not as easy as seeing someone rubbing their chest right next to you, All right. You there?
Was that a joke?
It was. Why'd you pause so long? That is funny.
I just had to get you back.
So, all right, man. I think that wraps it up here. Had a great time talking with you as usual. I hope everybody else that's listening enjoyed it. Visit us at Facebook at Talking Grit. Again, we got the email talkinggritpodcast@yahoo.com. You can reach out to us. Like I said, pretty soon we're going to start asking for questions. We're getting to a point where maybe we can do some listener questions, and I think it'd be fun to reach out and just get some interaction with some people that have been listening to our podcast. That's been great to see, and I really look forward to that. And then, I can have interaction with someone other than this guy that I'm talking with constantly. So
he doesn't get out much. He doesn't get to talk to many people.
I know. I went out on Friday night, and the first time in a long time, I got home at 2 a.m. I didn't even know there was a 2 a.m. anymore.
Was it another bingo night?
No, man. We actually went out to Frickers. I hung out with some coworkers. We didn't invite you.
That's how you know it wasn't a party.
Oh, because you weren't there, it wasn't a party?
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And because you were at Frickers.
Yeah. Dude.
Jason's talking about a wild night that he had at Frickers.
I did not say a wild night. At no point. Play it back.
He didn't get home until 2 a.m.
Play it back. Didn't ever say wild night. So
he ate so many chicken wings.
I ate chicken wings. I did. It was so wild that we played a game of euchre there. So sitting on the patio. That's how wild I get.
All right. On the patio.
We played Ace No Face, and man, you talk about, just going to the extreme in euchre,
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
That's good. Yep. That's good. It was good because you weren't there. So, all right, man. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope everybody has a good day, and go Lions.